Living and working in the Philippines. Um, I've done it. I enjoyed the Philippines. In fact, I love the Philippines in many ways, but other days it's a slap in the face. Uh, the business practices in the Philippines are a little bit odd culturally. Also, unless you can get work with a Western company, you're going to struggle to get good enough salaries to live on. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I don't need a lot to live on," but there's a difference to different to the way we live to the way they live. Um, they live like 10 to a house or whatever. The locals aren't bothered about six people being in one bed. It's just part of the culture. It's what they're brought up with. But as a Westerner, you're instantly going to cost more to live, basically, because you need more space. Your diet's very different. A Philippine diet is not good for the West. For Westerners, it's just not something that has enough of what we naturally have in our system. Um, I know from reading up on Westerners that end up in Philippine jails, their health is one of the first things to decline rapidly, and it's because of dieting. I'm not saying go and work in a jail, but the fact is, it's one of the most critical things that they suffer with, is a diet. Now, getting a job, I would start now if you're looking at going overseas. I do recommend the virtual assistant route that I've discussed already, where you actually work from wherever you are and generate work where you are, so you can work remotely. That'll pay more than any job will in the Philippines. I also recommend that you look at any visa issues that you might have, because you can't just work in the Philippines unless you're married to a Filipino. So you may actually say, right, I'm going to start work Monday. Well, you might not legally be allowed, even if you got a job with a company, because they may not be able to employ you, because you've got to have a specific visa for that. There's a lot of reasons that make it difficult. But at the same time, I know a lot of Brits and Americans in the Philippines are actually working. Well, even Graham's from Canada. The IT, the BPO industry is reliant on Westerners. Westerners engage better with Westerners. We understand the culture, we understand the needs. We're better at engaging and getting what we need to get a contract running. So new business management is a role that is very good for people like yourself and myself to get into. So I would say start with the IT. Now, there's also web development stuff that's going on in the Philippines as well, which is starting to develop into a bigger entity. The Philippines has always been good at graphics. It's pretty well known for that. But the web development side is starting to spin off into a much bigger entity, probably in line with the BPO, to be honest. But there's opportunities there. There really is opportunities there. And if you get into one of these good BPO jobs, you'll have a fairly good standard of living. You'll have a way above what most of the Filipino locals get, especially if you're developing teams, etc. The life in the Philippines is fantastic. It's a bit difficult if you're a family guy. For me, I don't think there's enough there for the kids, education-wise, etc. But as a single guy, it's an amazing place. You can meet some beautiful women. If you're in the BPO industry, a lot of the good restaurants are around you. There's beautiful beaches within driving distance. The expat community can be a bit hit and miss, but at the same time, if you're in the working business sector, those that are actually working, I would say the expat community is a lot better. There's a lot of drunken bums in the Philippines that just go there to retire and get in a rut and they just become drunken bums because they're drinking from early in the morning to late at night every day. That's the expat community I advise avoiding. But things like going bowling and stuff, there's plenty of people in the community, but also in the BPO industry, there is that social engagement because there's so many people, there's so much going on. So it can be quite an interesting environment to be in. Culturally, I think it'll change your perspective on the world. The Philippine culture can be a little bit odd, but at the same time, I really didn't have the issues that some other people have had. But then again, I go at a different level. I think some people are working at a lower level, so they get into some of these things where they assume it's common sense that X equals Y when it should equal X. But Philippine culture does some very strange things, but it's normally in line with something else that's rather strange. There's always reasons behind things. Even if I don't agree with them, there is a logic that defies my logic, but will be common sense to Filipinos. I've had it before where somebody said something, I'm just thinking, that doesn't make any sense. Then I've said it to 3 other Filipinos, and they go, that's why. And I'm like, okay, I still don't know what you're talking about, but obviously you understand it. Whatever it is, it's not logical in my eyes, but for localized, they understood what the person was talking about. But yeah, the culture stuff can be a bit of an issue, but not a major one. It's just don't get dragged into the local politics. Don't get too involved with people arguing with each other. The fact is, most Filipinos like having Western friends, which puts us on a bit of a pedestal in many ways. You can enjoy life, good nightlife. When I say nightlife, I want to talk about going to discos, not bar, the bar girl sort of stuff. I'm talking about actual discos and the sort of stuff you'd have in the West, not completely different things. Yeah, but I was a single guy. I'll be in the Philippines now, but I'm married, settled down, so I moved the family over to Spain, and we're enjoying a similar experience similar in the fact that we relocated yet again, but different in a different, I wouldn't say different culture, because the Spanish culture is so similar to the Philippines. It's not, it's uncanny. So many things you can see where the Philippines gets a lot of it from. But going a bit off topic, but I will tell you, if you do go to the Philippines and live and work there, you'll come out with a lot more switched on attitude, a bit more knowledge of the world, a bit more confidence in being able to live in other countries. And I would say it isn't hard to find work. I know a lot of guys have said it's been hard, but I think it depends on the person. Myself, I never struggled financially in the Philippines because I could always make money out of something, but I wasn't looking for a job. But I do know a lot of people in the BPO industry. I do spend a lot of time with other Filipinos, with Filipinos. My wife's from the Philippines, and I meet a lot of expats that live there. And it can be a great place. And like I said, for a single man, it's good. If you're married and taking your missus, it might be a different kettle of fish, because a lot of the guys I know normally end up with a new wife after a period of time, or a new girlfriend and ditching the wife. Not sure what goes on there, but it seems very common. Anyway, thanks for watching.